do that for a couple days. Anybody gonna get on? I think I got him for a change. Oh, that's what I thought. And then, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Hello, hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Trying to clean my glasses as usual, and there's always one little spot. Never fails. Always. They're fine for me all day long. So I want to get on live. Hello, hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. I'm trying to get the spot out of my glasses and it never fails. Oh, that's why, because I have the glare. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. I gotta move my tripod up just a little bit. Sorry, guys. That way I can tilt my phone, because otherwise that light just glares in my glasses and it's really annoying. Super annoying. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Marcus from New York. Welcome. #1 viewer badge. How does that happen? News to me. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Welcome, Marcus. I always put my lotion on when I'm doing my live because it's the only time I sit still. It gives me something to do while I'm waiting for people to get on. Hello, hello. If you're just hopping on with me, tell me who you are, where you're from. Talking about, what are we talking about tonight? We're talking about regulating your emotions and your responses. Fun topic, huh? I'm just going to wait a few more minutes, just waiting to see if anybody else is going to get on. How many people that just jumped off after they heard what I was going to talk about? Well, we could always end up talking about loss too, because I always feel the topic goes where the topic's supposed to go. And sometimes people have a loss and that takes precedence over any topic that I'm talking about. So yeah. So if you've had a loss, let us know. That's what we talk about here. We talk about all kinds of things, but that's the main thing. All right, looks like we're just gonna, so I'm already 6 minutes in, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you're just hopping on with me, tell me who you are, where you're from. Randy, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. I'm from California. Karen, thank you for the follow. So the reason I'm here, I gotta take these off, guys. I don't know what's going on. I have to have them to read, but when I have it that far away, I can actually see the comments without them. So if you're not familiar with my page, the reason I'm here, I started my TikTok in March of 2024. And the reason why I started my TikTok is because in September of 2023, my husband, for TikTok purposes, unalived himself. That's when I discovered that I had abilities to talk to my guides, and they slowly breadcrumb me to my purpose, which is to be here, to be on social media and sharing my story. Lost my brother-in-law, mother, and sister in the last 8 months. Oh my gracious, Randy. Is it Randy? Grantsburg, Wisconsin. Did I say that right? I am so sorry for your loss. Josh, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And so just real quick, Randy, and then I'll hop back to you, if that's your name. So when like I said, I discovered I had abilities to talk to my guides, and then they said, you need to be online, you need to be sharing your story, and discovered that was what my purpose in life is that to help other people through their loss. Just a little bit of background. My husband and I were together for 32 years, never apart longer than 2 weeks in that 32 years. And so when he decided to unalive himself, I didn't know what to do. He didn't leave me in a great spot financially, so therapy was out, and I'm this circle that don't fit in the square. So I knew group therapy probably wasn't going to work for me either. And so when I had decided that I was going to stay on this planet, have to watch what I say for TikTok, then I had to find a way to heal myself. And so that's what I talk about here. I only have 2 rules on my page. The first one is I just ask that you be kind. And the second one is we talk absolutely no politics. It's just not at all what my page is about. Sorry, I feel like I got something in my eye. Thank you. Is it Lori? I appreciate that. Where are you from, Lori? Sorry, all of a sudden I got something in my eye. And so, like I said, we just don't talk any politics here. It's not against one side or the other. It's just not at all what my page is about. There's a million other pages out there for that. I always like to say I am on my journey where I am, and you're on your journey of life where you are, and none of us are going to agree on everything. And so, yeah, we agree to disagree here. Sorry, my eyes got me distracted. And so if you can't agree to disagree, just hop off and keep scrolling. Please, that's all I ask. I'm Lori from Chicago. Welcome. Do you have a good lawyer? What do I need a lawyer for? Just curious. We talk about all kinds of things here. My page is for uplifting others, giving people a place to go if they're lonely or if they've had a loss. Mostly we talk about loss and emotions and relationships and all kinds of things is what we talk about here. Tonight we're going to talk about, actually the topic is regulating your emotions and your responses. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Although I'm going to divorce. No, I didn't get a divorce. My husband unalived himself a little over 2 years ago, so I didn't need an attorney. Weather. It was 75 today in California where I'm at. So I want to hop back to Randy because I always feel the topic goes where the topic is supposed to go. And talking about loss, if Randy, are you still here? Is always number 1 on my page. You lost 3 people. It's below 20. Yeah, my dad texted me from Iowa this morning. He's like, gonna be negative 12. I'm like, good for you. Keep it. Pittsburgh. Yeah. Are you a Steelers fan then? Used to be a huge Steelers fan. Don't watch much anymore, but used to be huge. Is Randy still here? No way? Okay. Eagles? Are bums? Well, I don't know. I haven't watched them to be honest with you, I haven't watched them in like 10 years. So, so you know about traits of different signs. Yeah, as far as like, you mean your zodiac sign? Like I'm a Scorpio, so I know all about my traits. I don't know about others, if that's what you're talking about. The Patriots. You're teasing. That's okay. Hey, I don't mind a good teasing. So, is Randy still here? If Randy's not in the house, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, if you're new here, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar and you missed it, my name is Renee. Welcome. Tonight, we're talking about regulating your emotions and your responses. It's funny because I actually got this topic. A lot of times, my guides will give me the topic. They don't always tell me what to talk about. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And so, I actually got this topic last week. And I was supposed to talk about it, I think it was on Tuesday night, and I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't go live. And so I'm like, it's okay, I'll just use it on Sunday when I get back on Sunday. Well, I don't know what day it was. I think it was Thursday or Friday. If you're new here, I'm the guinea pig. I'm what you call the resident guinea pig here. So almost everything I talk about is something that I've either been through, going through, or my guides feel I haven't learned. And so they're trying to pound it into my head too. So a lot of times when I'm talking about something, or I'm told to share something, it's what I'm going through at the moment, or what I have recently just went through or have experienced. So feelings for me are difficult. You're an Aquarius. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Okay, yeah, as far as, okay, gotcha. Well, I'm a Scorpio and we don't, yeah, just leave it there. Well, I hope you sit in with us and at least listen, and maybe you'll pick something up. And so it's funny. So like I said, I was supposed to put this out on Tuesday, and it was Thursday or Friday, and I had an experience come up in my life, and somebody had texted me something that day, and I took the text. Let's just put it this way, I was triggered, right? And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight are our triggers and our emotions. And so I didn't think I had many triggers left. I'm a pretty healed person. I've learned to regulate my emotions pretty well since my husband checked out. I've been on my healing journey for a little over 2 years. And but like I said, every now and again, of course, I'm still human. And I still have lessons to learn here too. And so my guides are like, well, you're going to talk about your experience, because that's what I do here. Like I said, I'm the resident guinea pig. So basically what had happened is I had gotten a text message, and I let my emotions get away with me that day. And I don't do this very often anymore, but I sat and I stewed most of my day. I don't do that. I'm pretty good at usually catching myself within 15-20 minutes of, having emotion and going, okay, and putting it into perspective, right? And I didn't do that. I let my emotions get away with me. So just know that you're not alone. We're all human, and it happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So signs of emotional deregulation, dysregulation, not deregulation. I can't read my writing. Maybe I should put my glasses back on. So symptoms of irregular emotions, right? Intense mood swings, difficulty calming down. That used to be me. I'm a Scorpio, and for the guy with the, I very much was a Scorpio for many years. Not deregulation. I meant to say dysregulation, but I didn't have my glasses on. So, and I'm old, and without my readers, I can't read. So, but we're talking about regulating your emotions and responses, if you didn't catch that. So intense mood swings, difficulty calming down. So I was one that, like I said, I was a Scorpio. When I was in my 20s, I'm now 51 years old, so I've learned how to regulate a little better. But when I was in my 20s, I could go off right now, right? I let my emotions control me a lot of the time. And now I'm pretty chill. And most of the time, like I said, I can catch myself within, 10, 15 minutes and go, no, now, and, learning how to step back. And that's learning how to regulate it, right? Learning how to step back and evaluating the situation and going, maybe I should think about this for 24 hours before I pick up the phone and ream somebody's butt, right? Or whatever. Like maybe I would have done in my 20s, right? So impulsive behavior. I was very guilty of that, 30 years ago. Frequent irritability and anger, relationship problems, and small things that trigger you, right? And one of the biggest things, like I was talking about earlier, is when I said, I was triggered, and I didn't think I could be triggered anymore, or very rarely. Like I said, I've learned to regulate my emotions, and I don't generally let them control me. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. But triggers are a huge thing, because when you realize that you can be triggered, that means you still have something to heal. So if you're going through a healing process and something can trigger you, that means there's still something there that you haven't healed. So and that was something that I was talking to my friend with earlier about, is learning to be honest with yourself, right? And go, okay, I was triggered. I'm human. I admit it. So now what is it that triggered me, and how do I heal that? Right. But that was a huge thing that I didn't have on here that, he brought up, is that, being completely honest with yourself. That's really important. Someone from somewhere paranoid. Okay, Joe, I'm not quite understanding. Do you want to elaborate on that? Okay. So how do we regulate our emotions, right? Recognizing our triggers, which I was just talking about. Learning that if somebody or some kind of situation, good evening, Jesse, how are you? So if somebody or something can trigger us, there again, if you want to heal yourself, you need to be completely 100% honest with yourself and go, okay, that person triggered me. So what is it that I haven't healed or that I need to work on within myself to take care of that trigger, right? I used to be huge on, like I said, if you missed it, letting my emotions override my life, right? Sitting for days, maybe hours or days, and stewing on situations that I had no control over, letting my emotions override my life, right? And I think too many people do that. We need to get back to going, whoa, it's okay to feel this way, but it's not okay to let how I'm feeling take over my whole day, right? And I have a saying that I always used to say. I used to do videos in the morning when I first started this journey. And I would get on and I would say, Grand Rising, and I hope y'all have a great day, because it is a choice. And remember that we all have speed bumps through our day, right? I call them speed bumps, little things that happen during our day. They happen to everyone, but just think of them as, you're great. Oh, good. I'm glad. Just think of them. Thank you for the likes. Think of them as little speed bumps in your day, right? When you're going to work or to school or wherever you're going in your day, you might go over a speed bump. Do you ever think about that speed bump again? Generally, no. So that's what I always say. Think of those little things that happen in your day as a speed bump, and not letting those speed bumps or those emotions from what is going on affect how your day is going, right? How many times, how's your day going? Oh, it's going crappy, blah, 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 right? Okay, well, now you need to rewire your brain and learn how to control those emotions and be like, no, your whole day isn't crappy because you had one little speed bump in it. You had a speed bump. That doesn't mean your whole day has to be crappy. Does that make sense? Thank you for the likes, Jesse. I appreciate that. Okay, so recognizing our triggers. Learn how to distract ourselves. Maybe there's something that's going on in our life that we can't control, which is probably 80% of our life most of the time. It's other people or other things. Thank you, that we can't control. So to sit and stew on it. Thank you for that, Joe. I appreciate that. And so maybe distract yourself and go, you know what? I can't control that. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to do this over here. Distract yourself if that's what it takes. Practicing mindfulness. And there again, being mindful of what's going on in your body and in your mind. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. And tonight we're talking about regulating your emotions and your responses. And we're talking about right now practicing mindfulness. And that's why I said being in control of your mind and going, okay, this is how I'm feeling. But that doesn't mean that it's going to take over everything that I'm doing right now in the present. Okay, does that make sense? Learning to pause. If you missed my story, so the other day, it's funny that I talk about this. It's not. I don't believe in coincidence. And this is always how my life rolls. I'm to talk about something and it just either happened in my life or it's going to happen in my life. And so there again, I'm the resident guinea pig. So maybe that day when I got a text message and instead of, letting it trigger me and not being mindful of my emotions that day and letting them override me, maybe I should have took a step back, took a pause and went, okay, first of all, it's a text message, waited for that person where I could talk to them either in person or on the phone and say, okay, this is how I feel. This is how it made me feel, but not, and taking a pause and actually talking to them to see what they actually meant, because that's the huge problem with texting. I love texting. I'm a texter. I love talking to people in person, but I hate talking on the phone unless I really know you. I'm just not a phone person. Never have, never will be. Well, I shouldn't say never, but anyway, text messages can be misconstrued, right? You don't know the feeling behind it. You don't know of what's going on behind that text message, right? And so sometimes you can think that they mean one thing and they don't really, right? So being mindful, taking that pause, and maybe in any situation, just taking a step back. Like I said, in my 20s, if somebody would have done something or said something, I would have called them right away or flew off the handle or whatever. Taking a step back and going, okay, and evaluating the situation. Is it something I can control? Evaluating your emotions. Texting, hide your tone. Thank you. That's what I meant to say, but I just couldn't get it out tonight, Joe. I appreciate that. And I meant to say too, we're not shy around here, guys. So pipe in anytime. You're never interrupting me. My page is your page. Jesse, thank you for all the likes. I appreciate that. So learning to take a pause. Pauses are a good thing. Journaling about your emotions. A couple weeks ago, I had what I would call on here a moment, right? I still have moments like everybody else. Like there again, I'm human. And I had a moment. It was a pretty good moment actually, but I didn't unpack and live there. But I knew I have healed enough to know that I needed to journal about it. I hadn't journaled to Daryl in quite a while. Thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate that. And so soon as, I was coming out of that moment, I got out my notebook and I started to journal to him. And I was very proud of myself because for the first time in a little over 2 years, I was able to journal to him that I was no longer angry with him. And so if you've been on my journey for a little while, you'll know that was a huge accomplishment for me. So journaling, being able to journal your feelings, and there again, able to take a pause, right? So maybe instead of letting your emotions override you and doing something stupid or something that you'll regret, taking a pause and journaling about it instead, and controlling those emotions. Challenging your limiting beliefs, right? And so maybe that applies maybe in your childhood or your whenever, maybe somebody has told you that you're not good enough or you can't do something. You're not capable. You're not lovable. Whatever it is that story, that we all have a story, right? I think everybody has a story. And I mean, unless you had a perfect life, your entire life, you have some kind of a story. And so for some of us, like I said, it's, we're not worthy, we're not lovable, we're not good enough, whatever that story is, but learning to control that emotion as well. Last journaled in November after death, have gotten back to it. Can I ask who passed, Joe? But that's good. I'm glad that, keep going with that. We're January, keep journaling. Journaling was a lifesaver for me. And that was something that I deep dived into meditation and journaling after my husband unalived himself. And that literally saved me. So keep going with that. Your dad, I'm so sorry for your loss. When did you lose your dad? Just know this is your safe place and, you're welcome to come on here and talk about it anytime. Are you dealing with it? Not dealing with it? I'm assuming you are dealing with it a little bit if you're journaling. I'm going to keep going. I'll just wait for your comment. And just so you know, if you guys ever put a comment and I didn't read it, I more than likely didn't see it. Oh, in November. Okay. I'm so sorry for your loss. TikTok likes to play games with me. Sometimes I don't get any comments. Sometimes I get every third comment. Sometimes I don't screw with any of my comments. I just never know what mood TikTok's going to be in and what I'm going to get. So if you ever have a comment and you really want to get it to me and I'm not reading it, that means I usually didn't catch it, or my mod didn't catch it. I don't even think I have a mod on here tonight, but generally I do. You're always welcome to send me an inbox if there's something, desperately you need to tell me or talk to me about. Okay, so challenging those limiting beliefs, learning how to tell ourselves, okay, that's the old story, no more, and I always say now I'm good at wrangling them, right? That old story goes off in my head and it's like, nope, I wrangle that puppy in within, I'm doing really good lately. It's like 15, 20 minutes. And it's like, no, why am I listening to that old story? I'm not that person anymore. That's not me. No, but just know that that's your ego trying to protect you, keeping you stuck, right? Just the way it is. Talking about it. Maybe you just need to call somebody and vent, right? My mom's great. I bless her heart, because, I will call my mom. Mom, I just need to vent. I'm upset. I still get upset. It's human to get upset, and it's human to show your emotion. It's just not letting those moments, overtake your life or your day. That's the key. Understanding the situation. There again, maybe, something comes up, and maybe learning to understand exactly what's going on in the situation before jumping to a conclusion. Not everything in life is black and white. And so sometimes maybe we need clarification in a situation, before we let our emotions overtake, right? And in my situation the other day, I should have just taken a pause, waited till my friend got home, and been like, hey, this is how I received it, and talking it out. And that is the most important thing, learning to talk to people, communicate. Communication is key, whether it be in your relationship with your partner, relationship with your friends, whatever, but communication is key. And as long as you can communicate, that should help with some of those emotions also. So understanding the situation. Meditation. Meditation is great. There again, take a pause, meditate on it. Meditation never hurts anybody. And meditation doesn't need to be just sitting in a room, right? Meditation can be walking on trail, on a hike, doing dishes. It's just learning how to quiet your mind. Not letting that mind race away, get away from you. There again, those emotions, learning how to control that mind, and just, thinking about it, right? Actually maybe analyzing it, or not over-analyzing it. That's kind of a catch-22 too. But meditation is great. Another thing. So for me, in the very beginning of my healing journey, self-care was extremely important. I would go to the gym. I love to exercise now. If somebody would have told me I would say that 5 years ago, I would have laughed at them. But I do. I love to go to the gym. When my head feels muddled and I feel like I have emotions that I don't know how to regulate, I go to the gym. So self-care. I know that first year after my husband passed, I was not sleeping well. And so I was not regulating my emotions very well. I think I was, I don't know, maybe not quite a year, 8 months or a year after my husband passed. And I was literally running on 2 hours of sleep, and I would go to work, and I was turning into a basket case, and I was literally running on emotion. And my bosses are like, Renee, you just take the whole weekend off, go home and get some rest, turn your phone off, get some sleep. So sleep is huge, right? How many times, can we let our emotions get away with us because maybe we're overtired, and diet. That's another thing, right? Are you eating well? Sometimes if you're hungry and you're tired, you get a little cranky. So is it Kenneth? I missed that. Whoever sent those likes, I appreciate that. So sleep and diet are huge. There again, hiking is another good one. Just getting out on a good hike and just being in nature. Nature is very healing. Music, dancing. After my husband passed, my friend would take me dancing. That was my outlet. I would work and I danced and I meditated and I healed. That was my life for almost a year. Hobbies. Do you have a hobby? Right? Sometimes we get so caught up in life that we're just in survival mode. And so then that's a good way for our emotions to get away from us, right? So do you have a hobby? If you don't have a hobby and you feel like you're in survival mode, you need a hobby. Grounding. I don't know how many people are aware of grounding. Grounding is getting outside, putting your feet, if possible, in the grass, sand, dirt, whatever, but getting your feet into Mother Earth, Mother Nature, grounding. That will give you, it helps stabilize your body. Long-term strategies, identifying the triggers. That's the hard one for some people. Rebecca, thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. So if you're new here, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. So tonight we're talking about regulating your emotions and your responses. So right now we're talking about long-term strategies, identifying your triggers, right? Knowing your triggers. If somebody can trigger you, in other words, if they can get an emotion out of you, you have a trigger. And that means there's something that you need to heal. So that was a good lesson for me last week. I learned that obviously I still have a trigger and there was something there that I needed to work on. Understanding what the situation is, there again, long term, depending on whatever your situation is, finding a way to understand it and not letting it overtake your emotions. Long-term strategies, people and thoughts, there again, knowing, maybe some people trigger you. Maybe you need to keep those people at arm's length, right? If they trigger emotion from you, one, there's something there you need to heal with them. Generally, setting off strong emotional responses. People and situations, right, can set off strong emotional responses. And so learning how to control certain situations. And like I said, there again, you need boundaries with people more than likely. It does not mean suppressing or avoiding your emotion. It's okay to have emotions. It's not okay to let your emotions overtake your day. So there again, if you missed it, what I was talking about earlier, say you're on your way to work or school or wherever you're going in your day and you go over a speed bump. Can't talk tonight. Sorry. You go over a speed bump. You forget that speed bump that you went over it. That's not something you think about during that day, right? So same thing, if you have a situation that's come up in your day, just think of that as a speed bump and you wouldn't let that ruin your whole day, right? So same thing. It's okay to have moments, like I say all the time. You can have a moment, just don't unpack and live there. So like I said, it's never okay to suppress. Suppressing is sweeping under the rug. And what I always say is you can only sweep things under the rug for so long and then you're going to trip over the rug. You will. It's inevitable. Learn to communicate better. That's one thing I think, none of us are taught to do. How many times have we just learned to just grow up on our emotions and we attack people because, that quick response, that trigger, right? Learning how to take a pause, step back and communicate and say, one of the things we had, I don't remember what the class was called, but in junior high, I was in 7th grade and we had this class and we all made fun of the class and we hated this class because it was all about feelings and learning how to communicate, your feelings properly and blah, blah, blah. But now as a 51-year-old, woman, I look back on that class, and one of the things that I carried from that class is I feel statements, right? I feel this when you do this, or I feel this when you said this, right? I feel statements is a good way to communicate with somebody and not put them on the defense all the time, right? So I feel, or maybe, what did you mean? Right? Maybe somebody said something, and instead of being triggered by that, say, what did you mean? Oh, ask them, just outright ask them what they meant by what they were saying. Sometimes it's good to say, I heard you say this. Is that what you said to me? To make sure that you're hearing them correctly. I'm hard of hearing in this ear, and I don't always hear people correctly. So this is what I heard you say. Is that what you said? Right? Clarifying, communicating that's what you really heard. Limit your drugs and alcohol use. I know that probably you wouldn't think, but our emotions tend to get wrapped up when we're doing those substances, right? Sometimes, I know I grew up in a family where when people drank alcohol, their emotions got crazy. Most of the time people got angry, and you couldn't communicate with them then, right? So maybe if you're going through something, you want to limit those things, because it's just gonna, let's see if I can say this word, exasperate. Did I say that right? Your emotions. So there again, maybe limit that. Learning to set boundaries. Like I said earlier, sometimes, we have situations in our life or people in our life that we can't control, but we can control. So we can't control what they say, what they do, but we can control how much maybe we're around those situations or around those people, right? Setting boundaries, healthy boundaries. Spending time in positive environments. I know a lot of people are in negative environments all the time, and it's really hard to regulate your emotions when you're around negative all the time. That's where, meditation, journaling, grounding, all of those things come in handy. If you're around negative environments and you have no choice, then, maybe look into meditating, grounding, do some journaling. And there again, maybe escaping with dancing or music or a hobby or something. And that's pretty much everything I have. If you're still here with me, does anybody have anything to add to that and any questions? I hope I'm not missing any comments. Like I said, if you commented and I didn't get it, I apologize. TikTok doesn't always show me my comments, even though I have all my filters off. So that's something that sadly I can't control. Anybody have anything they want to talk about? Anybody had a loss? We do talk about loss here. So if you've had a loss, that's really important to me. If you need somebody to talk to, or just, whatever. Okay, well, while I'm waiting to see if I have any comments, if you're not familiar, I also have a YouTube channel, and that's under Scorpio Medium. If you're not a subscriber over there, I would love it if you went over there and subscribed. All of my reels that you find here are over there. The only difference is if you like my lives and maybe you missed one and you want to catch it, I upload all my lives over there. I am here Sunday through, I try to be here Sunday through Wednesday. There was a week last week I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't here. There again, I'm human. Life happens. And so I try to be as consistent as possible. So I'm generally here Sunday through Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am just starting Thursdays. Last week was the second week. If you haven't went through a loss and you just want to not feel alone, I'm starting a Zoom meeting. So on Thursday nights at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, I am doing a grief Zoom meeting. And loss, it's supposed to be for people who have lost people, but I've had a couple people hop on that have lost relationships. So loss can mean, if you maybe you went through a divorce and you're not dealing well, you're more than welcome to get on. But if you've lost somebody and you're not dealing well and you just want to not feel alone, you can talk. You don't have to talk. It's just a place for people to not feel alone. So My condolences to you on the loss of your husband. I'm a widower and I understand what you said. Oh, thank you. Do you have a name and where you're from? So yeah, so Thursday nights, Zoom meeting. So you can always, my email's in my bio, and you can always email me or you can message me to get the sign in for the Zoom. I will be posting that through the week, a video. Leary from Virginia, welcome. I'm so sorry about your loss. And so if you would like the sign in for the Zoom meeting on Thursday nights, that, like I said, just get a hold of me and I'll get that to you. If you didn't catch it, Scorpio medium, I am a psychic medium. And if you would like a reading and you would like to talk to somebody who has crossed over on the other side, I do full readings. I do a half an hour and I do an hour. How you would set that up is you would go down to my bio and send me an email. That's how, the only way I set those up. I'll never reach out to you, by the way. So if you would like a reading with somebody who has crossed over, find my email, send me an email. Also down below is my Venmo. If you would like to leave me a tip, if you enjoy my content and you would like to leave me a tip, that's how you can do that, is down there. Always appreciated, but never expected. And that's pretty much everything I have. Does anybody have anything they want to add or need to talk about? Larry, how long have you been a widower? When did you lose your wife? Can I ask? If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Grab my water. Summer of 14. Okay, so it's been a little while. What's that? 12 years? Is that right? Well, it'll be 12 years. So let me ask, how did you handle that? Are you handling that? Are you healing from that? Did you heal from that? There's so many questions. You're better now? Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. You know, so many times people are like, in my case, I don't know if you missed it in the very beginning, I talk about, so my husband and I were together for 32 years, only apart for 2 weeks in that 32 years. And so my husband unalived himself. And so basically my entire world of 32 years crumbled and it imploded by his one decision. And so, I didn't know where to go or what to do from that point. I was struggling. I was struggling bad. He didn't leave me in a great spot financially. So therapy was out, and I am the circle that don't fit in the square. So I knew that group therapy probably wasn't going to work for me either. And I wasn't even sure I was going to hang out. And my youngest daughter said to me, she said, "Mom, you realize that your life is worth living, right?" And that was my light bulb moment. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to stay. But I can't keep going how I'm going, right? Everybody kept telling me, "Renee, just put one foot in front of the other." And I literally didn't know how to do that. Like, I barely could breathe. And so, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to stay, I have to figure out a way to heal myself. Joan, thank you for the follow. And I did read your comment. Yeah, it was hard. And so, you know, like I said, I had to find a way I had to do something, because I couldn't keep going the way I was going. It wasn't good. And so I deep dived into meditation and journaling. And that's when I discovered that I had abilities to talk to my spirit guides, and they started giving me messages, and then they were it gave me breadcrumbs to my purpose, which is, I know now that I had to go through everything I went through because I'm here to help other people. And so then they're like, you have to get online and share your story. I understand more after looking at your videos. Aw, okay. Well, I'm glad that, good. So yeah, and so that's my purpose in life. I know I had to go through everything I went through in my life and exactly how I went through it, so I can help other people. Grief is hard, very hard. It is hard, and, if people take nothing away from my channel except for these few things, one, you're not alone. You're never alone. This is why I created my community, is so people would know that they're not alone. And that's why I'm starting my grief meetings on Thursday nights. But you're never alone. It's okay to have a moment. Just don't unpack and live there. You have to feel it to heal it. That is the only way to heal, is to feel it. And sadly, too many people don't want to feel it. And so we have so many unhealed people out there. And that's my goal in life, is to help other people to heal. And not just from loss, but, that is one of the things. And from traumas, whatever it may be. But we have so many people that are unhealed. And it's sad. And then we can't figure out why people are getting divorced. But when you bring two unhealed people together, and then we expect them to have a relationship, right? And then how many of us, especially us Gen Xers, we weren't allowed to talk about our emotions or our feelings. And, there's just so many things that come into play there. So thank you for the likes, Jessica. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. Well, that's pretty much everything I have. Does anybody else have any comments or anything they would like to add tonight? Anybody going once? Going twice? All right. Well, I hope y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for all the likes, all the love. I appreciate you guys so much. Without you guys, I wouldn't have a community. There again, just know that if you are going through something, you're never alone. And like I said, this is what my community is for. You're so very welcome. And I hope y'all have a great night. Remember to make tomorrow great, because it is a choice. I will be back here. So today's Sunday, so I'll be back here tomorrow night with a new topic. And then, like I said, make tomorrow great, because it's choice. And on that note, until we meet again.